One more thing that I wanted to review was to check out Screen Tested, because I like Castlevania and he has a video. So if you're not familiar, Screen Tested is the channel run by Tyrant, who is one of Shad's friends. And I really like him. I think he's really cool. He's basically Shad 2.0 because they dress very similarly, similar haircut. Well, he's got longer hair, similar beard. It's just a joke, of course. But he's got this is his second channel, I believe. And he does all of these like nerdy things that I really, really like. And I wanted to check out this one. So the title of the video is Vampire Cross Best at Throwing, ? And this is from, of course, Castlevania. So let's see what he did with this, because the Vampire Cross is always something that I think is one of those things that is so cool. But would it work in any way in a real contest? Well, let's see.
So even on a miss, it still hits.
Nice.
Should be a quote.
Hey, Tyrant.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Screen Tested. I am your host.
Man, look at that background. This guy should have 10 times my subscribe count. Look at that. That is so nerd, and I love it because I'm a nerd. Very nice.
Tyrant, where we take things from movies, TV shows, pop culture, try to create them in the real world and test them one-to-one from the media that they come from. Now in today's episode, we're going to be looking at a vampire slaying weapon from the Castlevania series, and that is the throwing cross. I
appreciate that, Tyrant, but one moment, I need to vindicate my honor as a nerd, because check this out. How about that? My wife built it with Lego. Love it.
I had one, I'm pretty sure, in the Vampire Survivors game. I really like that game. It's such a good game. I should play that game. Anyway, another vampire slaying weapon. I'm a big fan of like vampire and the dark fantasy genre.
Me too.
I like the weapons and stuff, so for me, I don't mind. This is another throwing glaive, throwing weapon, whatever. It's basically a cross. It's essentially a cross that's made out of some sort of metal that has some sharpened points, and you throw it. Pretty straightforward, both in terms of the build and the testing.
And it's pretty big. It's pretty big if you look at the way I actually had a replica at one point, and I showed it during. I'll show you once we watch this. I'll show you the replica I had, although my replica was not. Was for cosplay. It wasn't for practical. Like, it wasn't metal and it wasn't sharp. His is definitely going to be
thing. So with all that out of the way, let's get started.
Let's go. Oh, he's actually making it. What a good. Of course he's making it. What were you thinking, number ones? And sharpening it. Nice. He's very crafty, isn't he? Like Shad. It's just Shad works more with wood, I believe. Now he is. Oh, look at that.
So here we have our Castlevania cross, our throwing cross.
That's amazing. I mean, it's significantly smaller than the one that we see in the game. But I mean, I could have never made anything even remotely close to that. So props to Tyrant. I am really looking forward to see how this works.
What do I think of it? Well, first off, I mean, for a vampire slaying weapon, I mean... The power of Christ compels you.
Yeah.
The power of Christ compels you. I
mean,
yeah,
it's double.
Yeah. I mean, you've turned a actual item that you would carry into a weapon. But
which pretty much what the sword is, isn't it? Because the sword is the cross to you and the sword to your enemy. That's the idea. So if you turn it around, of course, when you're slaying your enemy, it's a cross. There is a symbolism there.
How good is it at being thrown? Well, this is a simple question with a simple answer. Shouldn't be too difficult. I'm going to be throwing it right here. So
okay.
Let's try some different spaces, see how effective it is.
Yeah.
This is a rather close range throw. Let's see if it...
Ooh, that was pretty sleek. Did you see that?
Yep, that was the first throw, and that was not f***ing around.
Yeah. 2 out of 2, and the first time it connected with the top spike, and the second time it connected with the side spike. That's something you could practice, by the way, to gain even more control over. But he did really well. Look, pretty clean.
I mean, they're really... I feel like today's episode is kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah.
I feel like from this point on, you're just going to be watching me throw shit.
Once again, the same.
Yeah.
Hey, even from a distance. He's probably also a good shot. If I did that, I would probably miss.
That flies beautifully. That was gorgeous. Holy fuck. I like that.
Boom.
Okay, that one hit the branch.
I see. Got
That actually
deflected.
didn't hit the...
So basically someone parried it. An undead zombie parried it. Hey, you wouldn't expect that, but hey, the undead these days.
the trunk bit.
Nice.
I have no idea how well you guys are going to be able to see at all, but
GG, well
hopefully
played.
you can see something. Fuck, that one's in there. Cool. Perfect.
That's a perfect Catholic shuriken right there. Oh man, look at that.
Was a perfect one.
Interesting penetration. Oh.
That was cool.
This is actually performing a lot better than I thought.
The cross is still embedded.
Yeah.
All right, let's try it as a...
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like you need one per undead because it will get embedded. So let's say you've got like 10, 15, a mixture. Maybe you've got like a couple of skeletons with spears and then you've got some zombies walking away. Zombies last because they're slow. And then maybe you have one vampire. Then I would say take on the vampire first, hit him with that thing, boom, and send him to hell with that. And then you need a few of these because you need to start throwing at the skeletons. You think it would work well on the skeletons? I don't know, it would break bones.
No, wait, hold on. I'm going to throw it at Tony.
Tony.
I think that went around him. I'll check.
Tony, what's wrong there?
Spun around him. No good. Here, Tony, catch.
That's how Tony speaks.
So if we don't succeed at first,
Yeah.
we try again.
Try again.
I think my approach will be to throw it harder this time.
Right.
I'll throw it harder. That was pretty fucking hard. And it still didn't go in. So far, Blade's glaive and the Krull glaive both were able to penetrate Tony. So far, the throwing crucifix has not been able to penetrate him. However, I feel as though this one has performed better overall. If you're enjoying today's episode, you should consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it.
This guy, my gosh, this guy is crafty even in the way. I need to see some of his sponsors, how he introduces the sponsors.
Sorry, Tony, I didn't mean that one, buddy.
I'm
going to attempt to throw this up and fucking nail it.
Careful with all those beep, you're gonna get a yellow dollar sign, mate.
This is stupid. I should do some melee there. I want to.
That's gonna take a few takes. Yeah,
Oh, shit.
that's gonna take a few takes.
Yeah. Can you see this? This camera past this tree, but nailed this one.
Yeah, you almost reached the Shadlands with that one, be careful.
So even on a miss, it still hits. Should be a quote.
You can do it, you can do it. Did he do it? Oh, he did. It went through.
That wasn't as climactic as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I thought it would be a bit cooler.
Explosive.
Let's get to our final thoughts. I don't think there's too much left to cover with the throwing cross. So let's get to Tyrant's initial thoughts score, or tits for short. In terms of this one, I actually think that it's not bad. And the reason why is because not only is it a throwing weapon, I think we've demonstrated pretty reasonably that it is a actually not a bad throwing weapon at all. But it's also still a functional item. First off, if this is for vampire hunting, right? It is still a cross. The power of Christ compels you, Tony. Got it.
Tony, vampire confirmed.
So it still is a functional cross. On top of that, I do think that it has some melee capabilities. For example,
yeah, the lack of a pommel is going to be a problem, I was thinking now, because when you hit, the lack of a pommel is going to, it's not going to be a great knife. It's going to be an improvised knife.
If I was to come down like this, I don't think you're going to be generating too much force in that
like
sort
he's
of
going
way.
like that.
However, using these parts of the cross as a guard, I should say, you can generate some force and use it like a little shiv.
That's going to hurt though.
You don't have too much length, but it's still perfectly reasonable to do that, and that doesn't feel too terrible at the end of the day.
I wonder how it feels on his wrist.
So let's start off with one of the categories. First off, comfort. It's a bit nebulous because what's the comfort I'm assessing here? It's
what's the expectation?
Weapon, you hold it and you throw it. For that, it's perfectly comfortable. 9 out of 10, no worries. I mean, it's a little thin. It could be a little bit more contoured, things like that.
Yeah, as I say, the one in the game would have been thicker.
But there's not really much to grade here. In terms of using it as a melee weapon, I mean, it's, again, you would want a little bit more thickness, a little bit more bulk, but that might screw with the aerodynamics. So for comfort, let's go 9. I got no problems with it at all. In terms of its wieldability, 10 out of 10.
Really?
There's nothing wrong with the wieldability. This is what I like about it. It is a very low user error weapon, meaning any random person could pick this up and just throw it.
Yeah.
So let me grab that. Let me grab that back.
It'd be nice to test it with one of those dummies that kind of simulate the human body, including epithelial human tissue, bones, organs, skin density, and see how much penetration you get with those throws. Because against the wood, the penetration wasn't significant, it was a little. But then again, that's wood. So unless you are fighting a Trent, how the heck are they pronounced? Unless you're fighting those, it would be interesting to see, because if the penetration is significant, then I mean, the Romans would have loved it.
Any person could just pick it up and throw it, and it will probably work.
Thank you so much, Johnny00, appreciate that.
Next up is the design. I mean, 9 out of 10. You have a little bit extra length for the throw when it comes to this. As a throwing weapon, I actually don't mind the design at all, and the sticking in rate, the hit rate was pretty good.
It actually was impressive.
Having this little bit of extra length for a handle seems to actually really help. Having 3 almost equal, we'll call them that, points seems to really help as well. So the design is actually pretty good. The wieldability is pretty good. Let's get into the last and final category, and that is effectiveness.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a main weapon. Obviously, I shouldn't have to say that, but I'm gonna say it anyway, just in case. So this isn't like what you would carry around primarily.
I think I remember the one in the game can extend, so it kind of is his main weapon, but it doubles down because he has a chain and disconnects and becomes a little bit of a flail, if I remember correctly, right? I haven't seen the game in a while though, so I could be completely off.
It was pretty good, man. For effectiveness, as a throwing weapon, 10 out of 10. I feel like I'm having an existential crisis here.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen the scores yet. I don't know what the score is yet. But I've got a feeling that this may be genuinely one of the highest things I've ever rated. And it's a fucking throwing weapon. But it's really good at it. Not only is it really good at it, it's pretty good at also doing other things.
Yeah, it's quite versatile.
Turns out this is a great design.
I don't think, though, to disagree with you a little bit, I think it's good at a few things, but it doesn't excel, because it's a good throwing weapon, but a bow and arrow would be better, a crossbow would be better, in my opinion. Even a throwing knife, I think, would be better, but it is surprisingly good. But maybe it's because you are pretty good at throwing it. You're basically making it, it's like when you give someone who is really good at playing the violin, and you give them a violin that is kind of mediocre, but it still sounds amazing. You know what I'm trying to convey? And as a hand-to-hand weapon, well, a rondella would work better than that. So I think it's impressive in the sense that it's not a a bad weapon as we were probably expecting due to the fantasy design. Pretty good. But I don't know if I would make it like super high when you compare it with other weapons that are either specialized in their fields or, you know, kind of. But it's pretty good though.
That gives us a final score. I don't want to say it out loud. I don't want to say it out loud. I don't want to say it out loud. It gives us a score 38. That gives us a final score of 38 out of 40 for a throwing weapon. Almost the perfect score. What the fuck? I am unhappy with this. I am unhappy with this result. But I think it's a fair one. So I think
here is the very cool, very cool. All right, so very nice. I loved the video. Let's give him a like. I'm already subscribed. If you aren't, you totally should, because Screen Tested is awesome.